switches. Offensive rebound, Savale, and she's going to be tied up by Carter.
This is Chennedy Carter. Statistically, she's one of the better players in the WNBA. She scored 17.5 points per game last season, which put her in the top 15 in scoring, among big names like Kelsey Plum and Sabrina Ionescu. And she did it playing fewer minutes. When you look at her performance on a points per minute played basis, she was second only to Asia Wilson. From a talent and skill perspective, she's one of the league's better players. And yet, she is homeless. Well, not actually homeless, she just doesn't have a team. The Chicago Sky declined to qualify her, sending her off into the uncertainty that is free agency. When looking just at her stats, there shouldn't have been much uncertainty at all. She should have been among the first scooped up. But while stars, depth players, role players, and everyone in between landed in new destinations, Chennedy was left unsigned. It reminds me of middle school when captains would pick their teams one player at a time and there'd always be that one kid left standing. In this case, that's Chennedy, which has some fans scratching their heads. But to others, it's obvious. They're saying her WNBA career is over. But can that really be true? Has Chennedy been canceled? It feels crazy to consider, given that we're talking about a 26-year-old potential all-star who could make even a bad team competitive. And, in sports, there's a rich history of teams taking on troublemakers that teammates ultimately embrace and become part of a winning formula when channeled correctly. Sometimes, a little sandpaper can be a good thing. But when you look at her track record and the damage she's done in her young career, it's possible. Let's get into the events, including some recent fireworks that seem minor, but reinforce a narrative at the wrong time, that have put her WNBA career on life support. We could be looking at one of the biggest wastes of talent in WNBA history. But first, subscribe if you think Kennedy's career is cooked. Comment if you think a team will take a chance on her. Okay, so yes, it's well known that Chennedy is a mix of, how do I put it, sweet and sour. What's sweet is her production and potential. She's well known for her dynamic and impactful presence on the court. She combines agility, scoring prowess, and playmaking abilities, making her a formidable guard.
Left.
Bad pass.
Carter, the quick move to
Carter has consistently demonstrated an exceptional ability to score. In her rookie WNBA season with the Atlanta Dream in 2020, she averaged 17.4 points per game, ranking 8th in the league and leading all rookies. Notably, she became the youngest player in WNBA history to score 30 points in a game, achieving 35 points against the Seattle Storm on August 6, 2020. Her athleticism allows her to maneuver past defenders and execute plays with precision. Her agility contributes to her defensive capabilities, enabling her to guard multiple positions and disrupt opposing offenses. She's got the swagger and the performance to be a perennial all-star. But, oh yeah, the sour. Her career has been marred by a series of setbacks related to her conduct on and off the court, in front of fans and behind locker room doors. Midway through the 2021 season, she was suspended indefinitely by the Atlanta Dream for what the team called conduct detrimental to the team. That's PR speak for she wasn't getting along with her teammates or the coaching staff. According to reports, Carter's teammate, Courtney Williams, asked her to cheer for teammates from the bench. An argument broke out, and after the game, Carter wanted to fight Williams. Clearly, this wasn't an isolated incident because eventually the Dream had enough and shipped Chennedy to the Los Angeles Sparks. Let's call this strike one. The Sparks hoped Chennedy would be an all-WNBA talent, but you can probably guess what happened. She underperformed, posting the worst statistical season of her career, was benched for poor conduct.
Why wasn't Chennedy Carter playing this game?
Coach's decision.
And eventually waived after one season. That's strike two for those of you keeping track. After her Sparks exit, nobody was interested in signing Carter, leaving her hanging in WNBA purgatory for a year. She had no team, and it looked like no hope of resuming her pro career. But after a full season of time out in the corner, she got another shot. The Chicago Sky signed her for the 2024 season. And honestly, things were looking up for Chennedy. She showed flashes of her former self, proving that when locked in, she could still be a problem for opposing defenses. She was still quick, still dynamic, and still able to light up the scoreboard. For a while, it felt like the Chennedy Carter comeback was on. But on cue, she found herself in yet another firestorm.
This morning, this physical moment involving the WNBA's most high-profile rookie raising questions.
This was arguably the most controversial moment of the WNBA season. And yeah, I see you cheering her on, Angel. She decked the league's biggest star from behind, unprovoked. After all the time spent out of the league, a full year of reflection, and and a golden opportunity to change the narrative surrounding her, she provided clear evidence that the new Chennedy was the same as the old Chennedy. Fans were outraged. The media piled on. Even non-WNBA fans took notice as the clip spread across sports networks, social media, and debates over respect in the league. And the worst part? She refused to take accountability. When asked about the incident, Carter doubled down. She didn't apologize. She didn't even act like it was a big deal.
She turned to you a little bit after the fever
I
score.
didn't ask her no Caitlin Clark questions.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
She even threw shade online, seemingly mocking the situation instead of owning up to it. Now, flash forward to the end of the season. Again, she had her best statistical campaign. Re-signing her should have been a no-brainer. Yet, I have a sneaking suspicion Chennedy knew that might not be the case. Okay, I'm about to put on my tinfoil hat and get into conspiracy mode. So, she went to play in China for Wuhan, and she absolutely dominated. What was odd was her team giving her the Good Temper Award for her achievement in emotional management. Wow, what a complete 180 from her WNBA reputation. No reports of clashes with teammates or coaches, no viral moments of her getting in someone's face, just basketball. Call me crazy, but does Good Temper Award not sound like an award they made up specifically for her? It smells an awful lot like a fake PR piece, kind of like those LinkedIn recommendations you ask your friends to write for you when it's time to look for a new job. Yeah, I'm guessing she felt the need to prove with something tangible that her on-court and locker room conduct had improved. And it didn't work. Between the Caitlin body check and the reports of locker room drama, it was no surprise, even with that amazing, totally not made up award, when the Sky let her walk. And you know what that is? Strike 3. Now, the Sky were super diplomatic, saying they had made roster adjustments that didn't suit Kennedy's style. They didn't throw her under the bus. But let's be real, who lets go of a top 15 scorer you could have signed at a huge bargain? Reports eventually came out that Chicago believed keeping her would hurt their chances of signing free agents. Then, in what was actually a pretty funny series of posts on X right after Chennedy was released, many thought she made a cryptic dig at Angel Reese by talking about the importance of consistently making easy layups. As we all know by now, layups are not Angel's forte, even though they help her rack up offensive rebounds. Now, she eventually came out and said that her post had nothing to do with Angel, and that Angel was a special player. I'm surprised her Chinese team didn't give her the Best Damage Control Award for that one, even if she is to be taken at her word that exchange with Angel was yet another reminder for teams of the locker room issues she could bring. But is the WNBA just being too soft? There are plenty of examples of players with abrasive personalities and questionable conduct starring on top teams. Take Dennis Rodman for an example.
Rodman says, good play, Rook. Good play, big fella. Did he get called for a team?
And you can see him with more antics. Antics is a great word to use.
Before he was making peace with North Korean dictators, he was a walking controversy in the NBA. Teams worried about his personality, his antics, and his ability to fit in. He was a full-blown spectacle. One day, he'd be dominating the boards with unmatched hustle. The next, he'd be skipping practice to party in Vegas with celebrities. And yet, he was a 5-time NBA champion, 2-time All-Star, 7-time rebounding champion, and 7-time All-Defensive First Team. The Worm had a remarkable career. His play on the court outweighed his antics. And then you have Draymond Green.
Now watch him grab Draymond right there. Now, that right there.
So that's it for Draymond Green. He's done.
The guy is a suspension magnet. Whether it's trash talk, technical fouls, or outright punching his own teammates, Draymond is constantly walking a fine line between competitor and liability. But the Warriors still keep him around. Like Rodman, Draymond brings value that's hard to replace. His defense, leadership, and high basketball IQ make the Warriors better, so they put up with his chaos, as long as he delivers. So why is Chennedy Carter different? She's a potential top-producing player with an edge that, while sometimes too much, can also help her team win. It comes down to two things. First, the WNBA is a lot smaller than the NBA. The NBA has 30 teams, the WNBA has 13. That means fewer roster spots, fewer chances, and fewer teams willing to take risks. If you burn bridges with 3 teams, as Chennedy has, that's a quarter of the league's players who probably have no interest playing with you. If you're labeled as a locker room distraction, teams will avoid you. They don't have the luxury of gambling on a player who might hurt team chemistry. Secondly, the cancer in the locker room label is hard to shake. Some players are feisty on the court, but great teammates off it. Rodman? His teammates respected him. Draymond? For all his drama, Warriors players have vouched for him time and time again. But Carter? She's built a reputation for being complex behind the scenes. It's not just one incident, it's a pattern. Suspended in Atlanta for conduct detrimental to the team. Waived in LA after just one season. Left unsigned in Chicago despite being one of their top performers. Then suspected of feuding with ex-teammates on social media after being waived. That's a lot of baggage. Right now, Carter looks like she falls into that second category. She's talented, but teams don't trust her. And in a league where every roster spot matters, that might be the end of the story. So back to the big question. Is Chennedy Carter done in the WNBA? She's only 26 years old. She's entering her prime. She could be an all-star player for a team that takes a chance on her. She's continuing to train. She expects an opportunity will come along. And as long as the talent is there, she has a chance. The WNBA is a league driven by talent. If you can help a team win, teams will overlook almost anything. I mean, they have with her so far, albeit in one-year bursts. If a team gets desperate for scoring, or if a team suffers injuries and needs immediate help, or if you're the Connecticut Sun who lost pretty much your whole team, it's possible for a team in need to look past her baggage and lock in a player who can put points on the board. But make no mistake, she's a cat on her 9th life. After 3 failed stints and a bad reputation, you have to think her next chance is her last. Other young stars are emerging, and when you consider that Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins, and a promising crop of young players will enter the WNBA over the next few years, there may not be room for Chennedy no matter how many Chinese Best Temper Awards she wins. Your reputation becomes your identity, and teams move on.
Leads back up to double figures. How about Carter? Leaving everyone in her dust.
Chennedy Carter's story is a cautionary tale about what happens when talent alone isn't enough. You could be one of the best players on the court, but if teams don't think they can trust you in the locker room, they'll look in the other direction. And that's exactly what's happening with Chennedy Carter. A first-round draft pick, a player who put up 17 points per game as a rookie, something even stars struggle to do. A potential perennial all-star. Yet here she is, in limbo, wondering if she's officially been canceled. And barring a desperation move by a desperate team, she likely has been. So what do you think? Is Chennedy Carter's WNBA career over, or will she get one last shot? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And drop a basketball emoji so I can thank you for watching. See you next time.